Some upcoming games look interesting for a moment, but these are the kind that instantly make you want to stop scrolling and play them right now. In a city in Turkey, a massive outbreak suddenly turns people into zombies, and that's where Undead Chronicles begins. The game is set in Istanbul in 1923, during a time of political tension and collapse, which already gives it a very different feel from most zombie games. You play as R.J. Edwards, a British banking official who arrives at the Imperial Ottoman Bank for work, only to realize the city has already fallen into chaos. The gameplay is built around first-person survival horror, but it plays in a slower and more grounded way. This is not a fast-action zombie shooter. You'll use period-style guns like pistols, bolt-action rifles, and shotguns while moving through dark offices, sealed vaults, flooded tunnels, and narrow streets filled with danger. One of the strongest parts of the game is its setting. Undead Chronicles uses real locations from old Istanbul, like the Basilica Cistern, Galata, and Sirkaji Station. That gives the game a unique atmosphere that feels more historical and immersive than most zombie titles.
The bandits preach freedom, anarchy without chains, yet kneel before the mages in the name of balance. Then come the self-proclaimed rulers of the valley, so lost in greed and in the comfort of their fragile arrangement that they long lost any interest in change. And yet, we are all the same. Prisoners of the great dome in the sky, with no hope.
A legendary classic game is finally getting the remake many fans have been waiting for, Gothic 1 Remake. This is not just a visual upgrade, it brings back the original Valley of Mines with modern graphics, rebuilt systems, and a darker world that still keeps the rough identity that made the original game so memorable. The gameplay stays focused on what made Gothic special in the first place: freedom, consequences, and world interaction. You explore the colony, take on quests, fight dangerous creatures, and build your character over time. But this remake also rebuilds the combat system to feel smoother and more modern, while keeping that grounded RPG feeling. With Alchemia Interactive rebuilding the game in Unreal Engine 5 and THQ Nordic aiming to stay faithful to the original, Gothic 1 Remake looks like the kind of comeback that could finally introduce this old legend to a whole new generation of RPG players. A co-op horror game with a very unique idea. The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu, is all about hunting treasure inside a cursed jungle where your own mind can become the biggest threat. At first, it sounds simple. You and your team enter the jungle to recover valuables and complete contracts. But the deeper you go, the more the jungle starts to break your sanity and turn the whole mission into chaos. What makes the gameplay stand out is its hallucination and madness system. As your sanity drops, the jungle begins to distort what you see and hear. A teammate might suddenly look like a monster, a safe path might appear deadly, and strange events can completely confuse the group. Because of that, communication becomes just as important as fighting. One wrong call or one panic shot can easily turn into friendly fire without anyone even realizing what really happened. The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu, looks like one of those co-op horror games where the real danger is not just the creature in front of you, but whether you can still trust what you're seeing.
Look, we can follow the light. I hope this will be our last journey and bring us richness and freedom. But what's the value of human freedom if it's to face hell?
You just gonna stay here when this is all done? What do you want?
I want to go to Earth.
What the hell is going on here? And why are these things trying to kill us?
While I was preparing to depart for Earth,
After a very long wait, Pragmata is finally here. Capcom first revealed the game years ago, and now it's finally ready to show what makes it different. The story follows Hugh, a man stranded on a damaged lunar research station, and Diana, a mysterious android girl who becomes his only real ally. One of the biggest reasons Pragmata stands out is its dual-character gameplay with a hacking twist. You control Hugh during combat, but Diana is just as important because she handles the hacking in real time. Enemies can't simply be shot down right away. Diana needs to break through their defenses first, which turns every fight into a mix of action and strategy. That combination makes the gameplay feel much fresher than a normal sci-fi shooter. The game also uses Capcom's advanced RE engine, and that clearly shows in the presentation. The station looks cold, metallic, and highly detailed, while character models, lighting, and animation all help the world feel more realistic and polished. This game might scare the hell out of you just from how insanely realistic it looks. ILL is one of those horror games people keep talking about because the visuals already feel way beyond normal. Set inside a dark research fort taken over by a mysterious force, the game throws you into a place filled with grotesque creatures, disturbing body horror, and an atmosphere that feels heavy from the first second. Even the developers describe it as a more realistic and emotionally honest kind of horror, not just random shock moments. The gameplay is built around first-person survival horror, but it looks much more brutal and physical than usual. Weapons feel heavy, movement has weight, and enemies don't just fall over when shot. They react in disturbing ways, with limbs tearing apart, bodies deforming, and pain responses that make every encounter feel more intense. A lot of horror fans are excited because ILL looks almost too good to be true, and even online reactions keep coming back to the same point. The game's presentation feels unreal.
Tin Lords of Plumbing?
That's what I thought.
Well, Bob Hopper doesn't know him either.
Bob's got other things to do, right? That's right. It's news time.
Jesus! Fuck! Oh, shit! Wait, help! Hello? I'm so sorry. No, I didn't.
Tides of Tomorrow is a game with a unique concept called Online Story Link, where your story is directly connected to other players. Even though you play solo, your journey is never truly yours alone. The game takes place on a flooded planet called Elind, where the world is slowly dying because of a dangerous disease known as plastemia, and survival depends on the choices you make. The most interesting part is the online story link system. Before you start, you choose another player to follow. Their decisions, actions, and paths will shape your world, from story events to NPC reactions and even available resources. You will also see echoes of previous players, like ghost traces showing what they did before you arrived. This makes every playthrough feel different and unpredictable. With its connected storytelling system and shared consequences between players, Tides of Tomorrow feels like a new way to experience narrative games, where your choices don't just end with you, but continue into someone else's story.
Your friend was there earlier, but I heard he got in trouble.
Market land is off limits for Tidewalkers. Move away.
Hey, I recognize you. You're the one who broke the bridge.
Stealing Ozen from my dad is a bad idea.
We're meeting up with Ayla. Just look out for each other, okay?
So, you're my own.
Not one goddamn step. It's me, please.
Better be a fucking alien.
The question is, what are you going to do about it?
The Dark Pictures is back with a new game called Directive 8020. And this time, the series moves into deep space with a much more intense sci-fi horror setup. The story takes place aboard the colony ship Cassiopeia, where the crew is sent on a mission to save humanity after Earth starts running out of time. Gameplay still keeps the choice-driven cinematic style the series is known for, but now it adds more direct survival mechanics. You'll use stealth, quick reactions, and improvised weapons while trying to stay alive inside the ship. What makes this one more interesting is the enemy itself. The main threat is an alien organism that can perfectly mimic humans, which means anyone around you could secretly be the danger. With its space setting, human copying threat, and stronger survival gameplay, Directive 8020 looks like a fresh step for the series. It still feels like the Dark Pictures, but this one seems much more tense, more dangerous, and a lot more paranoid than what came before. Exodus is a game with a time-crossing system that feels fresh for an action-adventure RPG. Instead of choices only changing a mission or the ending, this game uses time dilation as a core mechanic. That means a short mission for you can turn into years, decades, or even longer back home. You play as a traveler, someone sent across the galaxy to recover powerful alien technology from a dangerous race known as the Celestials. Humanity is already struggling to survive, so these missions are not just about personal survival, they can shape the future of entire societies. One of the strongest ideas in the game is how your choices can affect future generations, political shifts, and the development of civilization itself. Exodus feels ambitious because it treats time as more than just part of the story. It becomes part of the gameplay itself. That idea gives every mission a much bigger sense of consequence, making the journey feel larger, more personal, and more meaningful than a typical sci-fi RPG.
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired.
Many thanks again for your help.
You should have been honest.
OD is a horror game created by two huge names, Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele, and that alone already makes it one of the most mysterious horror projects right now. Even after its reveal, the game is still hiding most of its real form. Kojima himself described it as a game, a movie, and also a new kind of media at the same time, which already tells you this will not be a normal horror experience. The biggest mystery is still the gameplay, because Kojima Productions has barely shown what players will actually do. What we know so far is that the project leans into psychological horror, and recent teaser footage suggests a first-person perspective with a slower, more immersive style. So even if the gameplay is still mostly hidden, OD already feels like one of those horror games that could end up being something very unusual. With Kojima's strange ideas, Jordan Peele's horror influence, and a presentation that already looks next level, this is clearly not trying to be a safe or ordinary horror game.
This choice. Every time the sun dies, madness reigns. Then everything begins again. But after every death, I always come back stronger. I know that you are here, and I will fight.
Saros is a sci-fi action game that focuses on survival inside a constantly changing world. The game takes place on a mysterious planet where every cycle feels different, and players must adapt to survive while uncovering what is really happening there. The setting leans into isolation and discovery, where each run reveals new details about the environment and the story behind it. The gameplay is built around a loop-based system, where each attempt gives you new knowledge, resources, and upgrades. Even if you fail, progress still carries forward in some form, encouraging players to learn from every run. Combat focuses on fast movement, timing, and reacting to enemies that change behavior depending on the situation. With its loop-based structure, shifting world design, and focus on survival, Saros looks like a game that builds its experience around repetition that actually feels meaningful, turning each failure into part of the overall journey forward. Remothered, Red Nun's Legacy is the final chapter in the Remothered trilogy. And this time, it looks like the series is trying to end on a much bigger and stranger note. The story follows Susan, a mother searching for her missing daughter, but the deeper she goes into the mystery, the more everything around her starts to feel unstable. The game still uses stealth, exploration, and survival horror ideas, but now it also introduces a hypnosis system that lets players interact with memories, manipulate objects, and even reshape parts of the environment. That gives puzzles and progression a more unusual structure compared to standard horror games. As the closing chapter of the trilogy, Remothered Red Nun's Legacy seems built to feel more ambitious than the previous games. With its new mechanics, unstable environments, and stronger psychological focus, it looks like a finale that wants to leave the series on a more memorable and unsettling note.
The bodies of 4 of the previously reported missing have been found.
Tides of Annihilation has been compared to Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy because of its fast, combo-heavy combat and huge cinematic visuals. From the first trailers alone, the game already gives off that stylish action energy, with flashy attacks, fast movement, and large-scale boss fights that feel built to impress. The gameplay is built around a high-speed action system, where Gwendolyn can summon spectral Knights of the Round Table during battle. These knights are not just visual effects. They become part of your combos, letting you chain attacks, switch styles, and keep combat flowing in a more stylish way. So while the comparisons to DMC and Final Fantasy make sense, Tides of Annihilation still looks like it wants to build its own identity. The mix of Arthurian fantasy, fast combo action, and massive presentation gives it the kind of energy that could make it one of the more exciting action games to watch. Dread builds its gameplay around raw survival and constant pressure, not fast action. You wake up inside a cursed place called Hellhole, a secret settlement hidden deep in the northern wilderness, where something ancient has already taken over. From the start, the game pushes you into a situation where survival depends on how you react, not how fast you shoot. The gameplay uses a first-person survival horror style with strong focus on exploration and resource management. You move through dark forests, abandoned facilities, and restricted zones while searching for supplies and clues. Ammo and gear are limited, so every fight matters, and sometimes avoiding danger is the better choice. The game also focuses on realistic weapon handling and impact, where every tool feels different, and survival depends on how well you manage what you have. Combined with its heavy atmosphere and hidden story, Nature of Dread delivers a gameplay loop that feels tense, methodical, and constantly pushing you to stay alert.
Не убоись стрелы, летящей днем. Не заразы, ходящей во мраке. Не язвы, опустошающие в полдень. Да будет сердце твое, камень, в руке моей.
The legendary spy we've watched for years in movies is finally getting his own modern game. And that game is 007 First Light. But this is not the fully polished Bond everyone already knows. This version shows a younger James Bond, still reckless, still learning, and still trying to earn the name that made him iconic. Instead of retelling an old movie, IO Interactive is creating a completely original Bond origin story, which already gives the game a much fresher identity. The gameplay uses a third-person shooter style with stealth, gadgets, hand-to-hand combat, driving, and cinematic action sequences. So it's not just about shooting enemies. One moment you can sneak through a mission like a real spy, and the next you're in a chase, a fist fight, or using Bond-style tools to get out of trouble. With its original story, stylish action, and younger version of Bond still proving himself, 007 First Light looks like the kind of game that could finally make James Bond feel right again in modern gaming.
We're facing a situation of the utmost delicacy. I need all my pieces on the board.
009 is a master manipulator. Whatever the endgame is, we won't see it coming.
Jet lag. Gets me every time.
She's not your friend, Bond. She's an asset.
Beast of Reincarnation already stands out because it comes from Game Freak, the studio most people only know for Pokémon. But this game goes in a completely different direction. You play as Emma, an outcast known as a sealer, traveling with a dog companion named Ku through a world that feels both beautiful and broken. The gameplay is one of the most interesting parts because it mixes fast real-time sword combat with a more tactical support system. Emma handles the action directly with her blade and movement, while Ku joins the fight through command-based abilities that activate after you build momentum through good timing and parries. What makes Beast of Reincarnation exciting is that it doesn't feel like a safe side project. It looks like Game Freak is seriously trying to prove they can create something bigger, bolder, and far outside their usual comfort zone. And that alone makes this one very easy to keep an eye on. Samson, a Tyndalston story, looks like the kind of action game that feels rough, personal, and full of pressure from the very start. You play as Samson McCrae, a man returning to the unforgiving city of Tyndalston, where his debt keeps growing and every day gets harder to survive. This is not a story about saving the world. It's about staying alive and dealing with a city that never really forgives anyone. The gameplay itself leans into grounded close-quarters combat, driving, and fast decision-making. Fights are meant to feel physical and dangerous instead of flashy, and cars are not just for getting around. They can become part of the chaos, too. With its noir crime tone, pressure-based systems, and a city built around consequence, Samson, a Tyndalston story, looks like one of those games that tries to stay focused instead of oversized. That gives it a different kind of energy, smaller in scale maybe, but sharper and more intense in how it wants every choice to matter.
Tyndalston, asshole of the world. Everyone's either paying, collecting, or buried in between. My past mistakes are catching up. In this city, desperation's the currency. You can't outrun debt. You can't freeze interest.
If you like horror games that feel more unsettling than loud, Crathos Deep already looks like one to watch. It throws you into the freezing Arctic Ocean, where something clearly went wrong far below the ice. Instead of giving you non-stop action, the game seems focused on mystery, atmosphere, and that constant feeling that you're drifting towards something you probably should not find. The gameplay seems to revolve around exploring the deep sea with your submarine, then using a tethered expedition drone to reach tight spaces, vents, caves, and abandoned underwater facilities. That makes the game feel less like a simple horror ride and more like a dangerous investigation. You're not just surviving random scares, you're searching, solving, and slowly piecing together what happened at this lost research site. Right now, Crathos Deep does not need to do anything crazy to stand out. If the final game can keep that tension strong all the way through, this could easily become one of those horror games people won't stop thinking about.
I'd like to share a few words about what we expect of you, and in turn, what you can expect of us. Down here, in the dark, freezing waters of the Arctic, we stand united on the brink of human knowledge. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do of the bottom of the sea. You may discover things down here that clash with your view of the world. Things you like to dismiss or distance yourself from. If, or rather, when that happens.
It won't make any difference at the end of the day. You know better than anyone else. That no one could escape.
Phantom Blade Zero already looks like the kind of game that can pull you in almost instantly. It has that sharp, cinematic energy where every fight feels like it could explode at any second. But what really helps it stand out is the way it mixes dark fantasy with classic wuxia style, instead of feeling like another copy of the same action formula. You play as Soul, a warrior with only 66 days left to live, and that alone gives the story a much stronger sense of pressure right from the start. The gameplay is where this game starts looking seriously dangerous. Combat is built around fast martial arts, chained weapon combos, precise movement, and aggressive timing that feels stylish without becoming messy. From everything shown so far, Phantom Blade Zero does not seem interested in being just another slow, punishing Souls clone. It looks more like a game built around rhythm, flow, and clean execution, where every fight can feel almost choreographed if you really lock in.
Death's always waiting. Just not for me.
Usually, we only get to watch heroes like this in movies, but now Marvel's Wolverine gives us the chance to actually step into that role and feel how brutal it can be. And honestly, that is what makes this game immediately exciting. This is not trying to be a clean, flashy superhero adventure. It looks raw, violent, and much more personal. Instead of feeling like a bigger-than-life comic ride, it feels more like stepping directly into Logan's pain, rage, and survival instinct. The gameplay looks like it is built around exactly what people want from a Wolverine game. Fast claw combat, savage finishers, hard-hitting movement, and fights that feel aggressive from start to finish. PlayStation describes it as fast, fluid, and ferocious. And that really seems to be the identity here. It is not just about beating enemies, it is about feeling dangerous every time Logan enters a fight. The game also looks more grounded and brutal than what many expected from Insomniac, which honestly makes it even more interesting. GTA 6 already feels bigger than just another game release. It feels like one of those entertainment events people have been waiting on for years, and now it finally has a clear direction. Rockstar has officially set November 19th, 2026 as the launch date, with the game arriving first on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS. There is still no official PC release date, which honestly is not too surprising if you remember how Rockstar handled past launches. So for now, console players are clearly getting the first ticket into this world. A lot of the extra details floating around online, like the exact number of enterable buildings, or some of the deeper system rumors, are still not officially confirmed by Rockstar, so it is smarter not to treat every leak like fact. What is clear is that Rockstar is building this world to feel dense, alive, and heavily shaped by internet culture, influencer behavior, and modern American chaos. Even the tone of the trailers already sells that idea without needing to explain too much.